I'll do that. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Catskills. Our minister, Reverend Bob Janus. He's our minister, yeah. I'm Vickie O'Doherty, the worship associate for this morning. We are excited to have attendees both in person in the sanctuary as well as virtually on Zoom. Big welcome to everyone. We welcome children of all ages to our service. If you need to leave the sanctuary but would still like to hear the service, there is a room you can go to across the hallway. Yeah. There's room for people to go across the hallway to the office over there if you want to still hear the service. There's a speaker in there. Today, we offer religious exploration or childcare for our children in the farmhouse across the driveway after Reverend Bob's heart story. But children are welcome to stay with their parents here in the sanctuary if you need to. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious faith that carries no creed and welcomes all seekers. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We are guided by a set of principles and written sources that encompass the many ways we come to know and understand the world, the universe, and the divine. Our principles are important to us at UU Catskills, and we live our values on a daily basis. We affirm that Black Lives Matter. We are a welcoming congregation for the LGBTQ community. We are a congregational affiliate of the Ulster Immigrant Defense Network, and we are an active voice in the effort to address climate change. If you would like to contact someone at UU Catskills, you can visit our website, uucatskills.org, to find out our contact information. Through our website, you can also be added to the mailing list and find the latest newsletter there. The newsletter has newsworthy items on the happenings in our UU community and also upcoming events for the month. Weekly updates are also sent by email, and there you will find events for the coming week. If you're a visitor online and would like to be added to our mailing list, you can put your name and email address in the chat box area on Zoom. Thanks to everyone who is assisting with the service today. Our services are made possible by our technical team. Our camera operator is Tom Hackett. He provides our live streaming from the pulpit. After the service, for those attending via Zoom, please stay for our breakout rooms for a virtual coffee break. For our prelude this morning, we have Catherine Catabiani, who will perform It's Wonderful by George Gershwin.
Good morning. It's wonderful, it's marvelous that you're here with us today. Thanks for coming, whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary or via Zoom. You're most welcome here. Thank you so much for spending this hour in community together and reflection and worship. We light the chalice each Sunday as a reminder of the light of truth and the warmth of love. And we'll light our chalice today with the words by Tom Goldsmith. Would anyone like to light our chalice? Go ahead. Always like that. Symbol of light and knowledge, symbol of warmth and freedom, we light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. And we'll read together our unison affirmation. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all living beings. May we know once again that we are not isolated, but connected in wonder and joy to mystery and miracle in the universe, in this community, and in each other. Love, and we have some love stories for you today from our members and friends. And our first love story will be shared by Carol Ryder. It's called A Walk in the Woods.
In June of 1966, both Jeff and I, though we had not yet met, were both hired to be counselors at a very special integrated summer camp up here in Putnam County called Camp Madison Felicia. During the orientation weekend, I decided to take a walk one evening in the woods. The night sky was filled with a moon and stars, and the path was easy to follow. As I walked, I began to hear a guitar playing somewhere nearby. I recognized the melody, Romance d'Amour. I stopped, enchanted by the music and the setting. Something beyond all my rational thought flashed in my head like a marquee. Whoever that is, I'm going to marry that person. As luck would have it, our universe placed us both together that summer, and all the pieces fit. The player who pulled the strings of my heart that evening in the woods was Jeff. And 6 months later, we were married at the Society for Ethical Culture in New York City. This coming Thanksgiving, we will celebrate 57 years.
Oh my God.
Sometimes a walk in the woods, sometimes you can see the trees for the forest.
Isn't that a beautiful love story? We celebrate all kinds of romance here at UU Catskills, lesbian and gay relationships. We have some same-gender marriages in this congregation that also go back several decades, so happy anniversary to all our couples here. It's not necessarily anniversary today, but whenever your anniversary is, happy anniversary. And relationships of all genders and gender non-conforming people, and even women who fall in love with men. Hey, we don't judge. Here's to all our romantic relationships and to those of us happily single, but we're celebrating love here today, not just romance. Romance is great, but this service will hear many different ways we can fall in love. Not just the romantic, but also fall in love with our family, with neighbors, with an activity, with nature. This because of copyright, we're going to quote the 90s club banger from Hathaway. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. But what is love? And why does love matter? We talk about love all the time. Why does it matter? How does love change you, affect you, make you who you are today? So I invite you to, in this hour, consider love here today. Who or what you love and what love might mean for you. So we're going to sing now our opening hymn or love song, What Wondrous Love, number 18. Wondrous Love. next truth. Pay no attention behind the curtain. How did that happen? So I love this story, and Maura is here on Zoom, Maura Sullivan. So we're going to try to beam her in via the miracle of technology. And so our next story is called Dedicated to Title IX by Maura Sullivan.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Can you say yeah, okay. I call this Love Story Dedicated to Title IX. I am fortunate to have found love in many aspects of my life. Probably, though, my earliest love story occurred when I was in 3rd grade. My family had just moved from Queens to the greener pastures of Suffolk County on Long Island. We had a whole acre of property to run wild on. At the start of the school year, I joined a brownie troop. My brother joined the local soccer league. After a few months of watching him play and experiencing the most tedious, inane meetings ever, I demanded equal opportunity. That spring, I joined the soccer league. I was in love. This quickly led to travel soccer and ultimately to school sports. In 7th grade, I played volleyball for the first time and never looked back. It became an obsession that rewarded me with an athletic scholarship to college and helped me to connect with my now husband. I think he would agree that there is nothing sexier than watching a woman spike a volleyball. When I was growing up, Title IX legislation was fairly new, and many females did not take advantage of the burgeoning opportunities. I'm forever grateful to parents and coaches. I truly believe playing sports empowered me to become tougher, stronger, and more disciplined. Playing with teammates on the court and ball fields was a phenomenal learning experience and such a source of joy. I now only play the occasional pickup volleyball game, but I have never stopped moving. There is still much joy to be had in so many other athletic pursuits. The experiences of my youth have propelled me into new avenues of physical activity. Now, running, biking, swimming, snorkeling, and skiing are all great sources of pleasure and peace.
Participatory service. Some of us might not really super love broccoli, and that's okay. You love broccoli? I love broccoli. Yeah, especially like sauteed with a little bit of butter, like that's good. But the thing is, we don't have to love everything, and we don't necessarily love I mean, we try to love everyone and be nice to everyone. But there are people in our lives that we might love more, and there might be, but I think what we really need to do is try and love we get to choose. Might not love broccoli, okay, and that's all right, and you just try to eat it if it's on your plate. But the thing, I think the really big thing is the things that we love, to try and love them as much as we can. And there's an old saying in Unitarian Universalism that says, let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful, let us open our minds to learn what is true, and let us open our hearts to love one another. So we try and open all of these things. Open our eyes means we try to see sometimes where it's a beautiful day and we might feel grumpy and we don't even realize how beautiful it is. So we open our eyes and we say, you know what? It is a beautiful day. It looks beautiful. It feels beautiful. It's great. And if we open our minds, we're always learning. And I know you're learning in school, and we're always learning throughout our lives. People are still, who learned something new this week? A lot of people, see? So you're learning every year. And then even most important of all, open our hearts to love one another. Sometimes it's really easy to open our hearts, and sometimes it takes a little bit of work. And like there'll be more love in the world, and that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? So thank you for playing that game with me. You can play it again at home with the home edition. And we've got a wonderful time with Jane, our Director of Religious Education. So we're going to sing our children out. If you'd like to stay in the sanctuary, you can, like whatever families would like to do. But if you'd like to go out with and have a time of religious education, you're welcome to go with Jane. We'll sing our children out with love. As you leave this friendly place, give light to every face. May the kindness which you learn light your hearts till you return. So now we are, as we begin our time of reflection, and we'll. And this is Twilight by Jerry Lynn Mason.
More than any other part of the day, I love twilight the best. The birds retire to their chosen branches. The woods are tinged with the softest of pinks. Clouds begin their fade into darkness, and the cows literally come home. The owl yawns awake in the spruce. The fox considers venturing out. White-tailed deer begin their morning graze, and windows are yellowed by lamps. The air carries a filmy blue that blurs the edges of everything you see and don't see. Time is transitional. The veil is thin enough to feel the hand of a departed beloved, silent enough to hear.
So we enter into a time of reflection and meditation. We're going to have some photos by Ellen Harrington. And as we enter this time, I invite you to consider what catches your heart, what pulls at your heartstrings, what and who do you love? Whether it's the twilight or a time of day or a season, something out in the world, a sensation, a feeling, an experience, all of the people that are tender on your heart this hour. As we enter into this time of meditation, we give thanks for all that is lovely in this world, all that is true and beautiful and fine, all that lifts our hearts in praise. We ask for that spirit out there to the universe to open our hearts to love. We know love comes to us, but sometimes it takes a little work, and we would learn to love better. We learn to love each other better as we seek to forgive, if we're able, others who have wronged us, and also forgive ourselves for any mistakes made along the way. We open our hearts to love, to return to that gratitude that grounds us and reminds us of what's so beautiful and true about this world. We turn again to beauty, we turn again to kindness, we turn again to love. We'll have a time of silent meditation as we reflect on this wondrous love. May peace be with all peoples and all beings. Deal with the devastation of that earthquake. Our hearts are with the family and beloveds of Tyree Nichols, people of Memphis. And our hearts are with one another and anyone who is struggling or grieving or having a hard time. That they may know love. Love may be with them in the most difficult hours. We'll sing a meditative hymn. You can remain seated for this one. We'll sing number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Our next beautiful love story is by another of our distinguished poets and storytellers, Elga Antonsen. Oh, here.
This is a Harry Lauder branch from a Harry Lauder tree of long ago that my friend Sandy gave me. Oh, my mask. All right. So, hi. So, we have neighbors who have a deep sense of privacy. I chucked out the flyer left in my mailbox for clean green lawn specialists. After reading their safe ingredients list, last year I approached the young man about to spray in my neighbor Bob's yard. Why does your company claim to be green when you're using poisons like permethrin and atrazine, however you pronounce it? The technician shrugged his shoulders and wheeled his spray canister onto my neighbor's lawn. How about wearing a mask? I said, hoping to keep judgment out of my voice. I get all sweaty, don't like them. Do you ever expect to become a father? I said. His eyes widened. He grabbed his sprayer and rolled away. This year they were back again. The same company. One of their trucks halted in front of my neighbor Bob's house. We have it off in angular beauty. I had left it standing, enjoying the seasons and each vision it presented. I felt a need in spring to plant. What better place than beneath this tree? Green beans could climb and squash would spread green tendrils along the ground. Maybe I could get some corn to shoot up. Corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters of indigenous culture. Would my neighbor give up spraying poisons in his yard? I asked Bob to sit down at our patio table. His face has wrinkles that show evidence of worry and laughter. We smiled awkwardly at one another. This year, I want to plant beans. To climb up there, I said, pointing to the skeleton tree in our yard. Did you know that it was named for a vaudeville actor named Harry Lauder, who used a crooked branch as a dance prop? No, never knew that, Bob said. I explained it would mean a lot to me to be able to grow food in our yard. Since his land is higher than ours, all those poisons would leach into our property. He shifted in his chair and leaned back, gazing at the blue, blue sky. Neighbor, he said, I would love to let you have those beans in your little garden hanging from that tree. I'll just go and tell those people it's no deal. We waved goodbye, and I felt a burst of love for a man who I now saw as a very fine human being, my neighbor.
should point out it's a different Bob, but I've never met a Bob like him. Seems like a good guy. Our offering we take each week as a reminder that it's love that keeps us going. It's love for one another, for this congregation, for the mission of diversity, community, growth, and action. Contribute is very warmly welcome, whether it's financial support or contributing in other ways. You can contribute financially on the website and via the PayPal QR code or cash or check or any of those ways. And we share the offering each month, and in February it is, you would think the minister would know this. Yes, the Center for Creative Education, which helps with love and creativity, helps share the love with our youth in Kingston and beyond, and is an amazing organization. So we're really honored to share 50-50 with this very worthy organization. So our offering, who could ask for anything more than this? It's "I Got Rhythm" by George Gershwin. May these generous sharings of love find their fruit in action of acts of compassion and justice and kindness. Our next reading, and I apologize, I think it's by a dear friend of mine, and if you're watching, Jane, I love you, Reverend Dr. Jane Blackall, and a colleague who may be watching from London, and is minister at Kensington Unitarians. And she wrote a paper a few years ago that has stuck with me all these years. I think it's just a marvelous paper called "Models of God and the Meaning of Love." You may have heard the expression, or it's a biblical quote, "God is love," which is in the Gospel of John, and it's expressed in many different ways. And for those, whether believing in God or not, so many people say that love is the heart of what it's all about, right? Love is what it's all about. But what does that really mean? And so Reverend Dr. Blackall, or Jane, as I know her, used a technique called ordinary theology to ask participants what role love plays in their life and what they might understand as. This is an excerpt from her paper, Models of God and the Meaning of Love. God is love is a powerful saying, one that has shaped the Western religious imagination. It is also perhaps an idea which has had a wider influence beyond its Christian origins. and which to some extent still subtly persists in what we might call our post-Christian secular culture. However, despite its vital importance, the phrase God is love is full of ambiguity. Both God and love are terms which are open to interpretation and understood in greatly varied ways. So using a technique called ordinary theology, I sent a questionnaire to 44 participants. The 11 questions included their understanding of the word God and the word love, their theological outlook and religious affiliation, if any, their sources of depth, meaning, and value, ways in which they have experienced depth, meaning, and value through loving relationships, ways in which understanding of the saying God is love. So here are brief excerpts from 3 of the different responses that kind of gave a sampling of what the 44 participants wrote in their responses. You might think what your response might be to these questions. So this first one is from Julia, an atheist humanist, female, age 32. Julia wrote, "I don't believe there is anything supernatural in the universe. I find depth, meaning, and value everywhere. In people, in nature, in science, in music, in food, in gardening and singing and dancing. In my students, in my colleagues, in pebbles, in everything I can see and in things I can't see. Life gives value to life. I don't need anything else. Some people need to worship something or need something to ascribe randomness to. They can have God. I'll worship love and dedicate myself to love, thanks very much. Especially if they're the same thing anyway. What difference does it make?" This second response is from Rick, a Quaker, identifies as Quaker, genderqueer, aged 38. Rick writes, "God is love includes behaving in a loving way to all people, not just loving the people closest in my life. When I talk about that of God in everyone, I mean the impulse in people to do that. I am at best agnostic about an interventionist God or gods. I'm not entirely sure that the existence or not of an external being is a question that needs answering. I do believe in the presence of that of God in everyone, that everyone is important and sacred, that my best chance of experiencing the divine is in my interactions with other people and with the world. I think all of my significant loving relationships nurture in me a focus on thinking and behaving lovingly in general, not just within the relationships themselves. That is God for me." And the third sampling is from Nancy, a Unitarian Universalist, pragmatic naturalist, female, age 60. Nancy writes, "Love means the capacity to be vulnerable and open to another and the world in its brokenness and sweetness, and to act upon that experience in ways that create greater connection and care in the world. That's where depth and meaning are best found, in our ability to see that essential interconnectedness, the truest part of our humanity. That mesh or fabric underlying reality binds us all to one another. We are interconnected on the deepest level of life. That's what God does or is. God and love add complexity to my life and push me in ways that I often do not want to go, nudge me away from my tendency to judgment, my sarcasm and cynicism. It is a matter of faith for me that at the heart of all, it is love." So there we have 3 wonderful perspectives, and our thanks to the anonymous participants who gave those thoughtful answers to those questions as well. So now we'll have only music can have the last word about love, right? So before our brief homily, we'll have "Only Love Can Do That." These are words by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., music by Mark Miller.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Hatred cannot drive out hate. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Hatred cannot drive out hate. Only love, only love, only love can do that. Only love, only love, only love, only love can do that. Only love. Only love can do that. Only love, only love, only love, only love can do that. Only love.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. Love that's all around me, and so the feeling grows. So right, the Trogs. Anyone remember that one? Their hit song, Love is All Around. One of hundreds of love songs that so many, but we could go on for a long time referencing love songs. And so many great love stories. And we've heard a few in this service. We heard how a chance melody in the woods can lead to the sudden realization, I'm going to marry that person, and can lead to 57 years of marital bliss. It really does happen. We heard how a conversation with a neighbor can bring two kind-hearted, compassionate people a little closer together and help the green beans grow free of pesticides. We heard how much that delicious time of twilight can move us, that time when the air carries a filmy blue that blurs the edges of all you see. Time is transitional. The veil is thin. And Maura sang wonderful praise to Title IX and the ability to fall in love with sports, soccer, and then volleyball, from which she never looked back. More love stories than that. I regret I couldn't easily fit them all into one service. Jenny O'Grady Giddy said the question brought her back to a moment decades ago when she experienced pure joy and love. She writes, I was nursing my baby. He must have been a few months old by then. For a moment, he unlatched and gazed up at me with a milky smile, blue eyes fixed on mine, forging an everlasting bond between us. Then he returned with increasing zeal to his nursing, and I was forever changed by this shared feeling of love. You can imagine that moment, can't you? And Karen Howenstein also shares a motherly moment, too, in fact. As she says, it is an amazing feeling to fall in love with your children. She saw a picture of her daughter, Sienna, when she was about 8 months old. Karen and Mark were adopting her from China. She looked at her picture, and that was it. Karen was in love. She writes, when Mark and I walked into the room where all the children were sitting on their nanny's lap, I was able to pick out our daughter right away. Cut very short and all about the same size. But a mother knows their child, regardless of adoption or giving birth. And then after a very difficult pregnancy, that feeling of love happened all over again when their second child, Zach, was born, her beautiful boy, and she fell in love all over again. So what is this love that everyone says is so important, that the poets write about, that Paul, who was quoted in our meditative hymn, writes that if we don't have it, we have nothing? It's a term that can mean a lot of different things, right? I might love a juicy orange juice with my breakfast, or juicy orange with my breakfast, but that's not quite the same as the love I feel for my friend of 30 years. The Greeks famously had different words for different types of love, agape and eros and philia, meaning charity and romance and friendship, respectively. Reverend Dr. Jane's marvelous paper we heard just now took this phrase, God is love, which found in the Gospel of John, and asked everyday people, some who, what might it mean that love is the heart of our theology, the heart of what it means to be a human being? What is love? The one thought I want to leave you with this morning, after all these marvelous stories, the one thought I want to contribute to this marvelous conversation we've been having here is Tina Turner. And I think I quoted Tina Turner last year around this time, and I'll probably do it again next year because I love Tina Turner. But in her song, What's Love Got to Do with It? She sings, as only Tina Turner can, what's love but a second-hand emotion? And lyrics by Terry Britton and Graham Lyle, by the way, but Tina made them hers. I'm sure we can all agree. Love is a second-hand emotion. That's a curious phrase. Second-hand means like it comes from somewhere else, right? Like second-hand clothes, a hand-me-down. And that's sort of true about love. None of us are terribly original in loving someone or something. Love's been around for, I don't know, a long time. People love. Animals will love long after we're gone. We just get to participate in this love for a while. It's handed to us. We wear it for a while, and then we pass it on. Love is a secondhand emotion. And another way we might say that love is secondhand is that love is in response. We look at a twilight scene, the birds taking their places on the trees. The scene is given to us, and then our response might be love. You hold your daughter in your arms for the first time, your daughter is given to you, and in response, love wells up in you. Love is secondhand. It is an echo, a response of the goodness we see in the world, the beauty we experience in it. To some extent, we can't control love, therefore. We can't force ourselves to fall in love. Even the response is sort of beyond our control. We don't know exactly how we're going to react to the world. Self all geared up for a beautiful sunset, and then it's a cloudy evening. We don't control the world, and we don't always control our immediate response to it. But I would say that we have some modicum of control over gently shaping our response, however. We don't control the world, we don't control our immediate response, but we can, it's up to us how we respond to it. We can see a sunset and think, who cares? I've seen thousands of those before. Or there's the tiniest spark of love in us. If we feel that, we can cup our spiritual hands around it and say, what's this I feel? What's this spark of something? I can help let that feeling grow. It's kind of up to us to blow on the embers, to help that feeling of love grow. We were having a conversation in the committee meeting about worship, and I got to talk etymology, which I always love. And worship comes from the German Worthschaffen, or worth. We shape. So we can take this response that we don't entirely control, this response to the world. We can take this loving response, even if we don't know exactly where or when we can fall in love. We can help it take shape, like participants in the pottery. We can say, I will devote myself to this child for as long as I possibly can. We can feel, you know what, I'm going to see the good in my neighbor Bob, have a conversation, and see what happens. Worthschaffen. We get the experience, but then we have the opportunity to make the experience worthwhile. The Jewish theologian and philosopher Martin Buber calls this the I-thou relationship, the I-you relationship. We are always in conversation with the universe, with what some know as God. The universe, God gives something to us, our day, we're given all these experiences, and it's up to us. We have the power, the control, it's up to us how we respond. And love is so powerful. Love can create lifelong commitments. Love can wipe away hatred and nothing else can. Love can put a spring in our step, renew these dry old bones. Only love can do that. Or as the theologians and philosophers, the Trogs say, it's written in the wind, it's everywhere I go. So if you really love me, or this world, come on and let it show. Opportunities for love are going to show up in your life. That little spark in your heart is going to get engaged by something, I promise. Some experience, some person, whatever. Sometimes it takes a little while, and that's okay. But the universe eventually gives you something and gives you an opportunity to respond. And what's love got to do with it? Well, that's up to you. Blessed be, friends. Amen. May love be with you. Let us sing our closing hymn, hymn number 313, Love Will Guide Us.
131.
131, thank you. Keeping you on your toes, 131. The world is inviting you to fall in love. It's inviting you when you spike a volleyball or look at a twilight scene or have a conversation with your neighbor to your personal heart mailbox every day. All you have to do is open them up and be true to them and work for them. And it's maybe a lifetime of work, but it's just one day. It's each day at a time. So let us be true to that love we feel in our hearts. Let's love one another as if we deserve love, which we do, which every one of us does. Let's love one another as best we can and love the hell out of this world. May it be so. Amen. We, as we extinguish our flame, we read together the closing reading. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Thank you all for coming. A profound thanks to everyone who sent in their love stories, made this service possible, and the social hour. Speaking of the social hour, please stay for tea and conversation and goodies. Thank you to Donna and Tiffany for providing that. After the worship service, the Social Action Committee is hosting a table for the purpose, providing information, listening to your questions. So if you have a love for justice, the Social Action Table, come and chat with them. If you're joining us, if you're on Zoom, go join our breakout rooms. Go in peace. Have a lovely Sunday. Love be with you. Oh, sorry.